All right, Eric, and we're here. It's Friday, isn't it? I hear that it's Friday.
Thank
it is.
God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday here. And this week, we are going to be doing a Batman Catwoman, Batcat #3 by Tom King. Now, as we were getting ready to record, I heard the untimely passing, Eric, of one of the Fat Boys. You know, Prince Marquis D went down. Now, to go with the theme of the podcast, am I now doing my impersonation of a human beatbox, or am I a gorilla like Gorilla Grunt? What is that? Is that beatbox or gorilla? This is a game. That is beatbox, Eric.
How dare you?
Now, which one is this? That's gorilla.
How dare you?
That's what that is.
I don't like this game.
Prince. I'd like to know where he was a prince of. I want to know where the king is of beatboxing. And as you know, I already know that. That's Dougie Fresh, Eric.
Obviously.
And we are done with the hip-hop podcast for the week. It's funny, too. People
we
got
one more Fat Boy left.
I don't know these guys. No, freaking, that's the thing. Dougie Fresh was by himself, Eric. He's the other human beatbox. There's a lot that claimed that title. But yeah, my rap knowledge kind of ends around 92. Grunge took over then for me, right? Grunge.
You fucking flip-flopper. Here I am all about this rap until this white guy with long hair is depressed. I'm all about this.
I loved NWA. Loved them so much because it hit.
You were just chasing those fads.
Well, that's the thing, though. I really, really love Run DMC and all that, and even like the fun rap and the party rap, Eric. Yeah. But then when NWA hit, that was the grunge of the hip-hop set. And then grunge hit, which was the grunge of the rock set. And then I didn't know what happened. I ended up with the whole deal, and I have a big, giant gap where, you know, small rappers like a Tupac Shakur or maybe a Biggie, you know, all those, I was not that dumb. The next thing that really caught my eye, Eric, it's not really a trend or anything, was like Dr. Dre and Snoop, you know, the Chronic. Oh my God, I was the first one, Eric. Nobody had heard of that until 2010. When I ended up dropping
2001, when the other Chronic came out.
I know. I remember people like, I had actually said, I'm not into that type of rap. I'm like, what? It's smoking pot rap now. I don't know. I lost it. I'm too old for this shit, is what I said to Danny Glover. He agreed,
it's called
Eric.
The Chronic.
He agreed. I didn't know what that meant. I thought that maybe he had some condition that he needed to go to the doctor for. I'm telling you, he's Dr. Dre, and it's the Chronic. I thought he sprained his ankle.
He can't diagnose himself.
Well, there you go. I think he was. That's the problem. He started medicating himself. I thought he had shin splints or something, and that was the rap.
Oh, hey, God, I got the Chronic.
I was running around just the other day, and I got shin splints. What do I say? There you go. Isn't that on the Chronic too? Maybe. Isn't it? You know, I don't know. I ended up seeing the videos. I'm like, I don't know. This isn't me anymore. And then even then, I was done.
Never was a you, though.
Well, at that point, this is me. By that point, Kurt Cobain had died. So I don't know. I started stepping it up. And then I was, you know, calling out people and serving them. I just go with the trends, Eric. You didn't know about
sir, your order's up?
Exactly. Your fries are you didn't
calling out and serving
you didn't know me. You didn't know me during my "you've been served" phase of the late 2000s before 2010
the Burger King gym era.
Oh my God! Just imagine me dancing around. There's nobody getting served then. They're like, why does this guy? Then again, I need to call Dr. Dre because they thought I needed a doctor, Eric. I was shaking and a jive, and I don't know. Here we are.
Here we are. You just got the Dr. Dre who was hanging with Ed Lover.
I did. Well, that guy, is he alive still? We can have, is he alive or dead? He was a big guy as well. I do like Ed Lover, though. I don't have the Ed Lover dance queued up, so I wish that I did. But we're not here for that, right? We're here to talk about that book of the week that doesn't quite fit with the rest because we're going through future state.
We're talking about, we're doing our Friday night, you know, thank God it's Friday show to try to differentiate all the books that aren't future state right now. We're going to jump into this book that goes into the future.
It does, right? All right, Eric. All right, yes. So we have this, though, and it does go to the future. I don't know how long this version lasts.
I just was really hoping you weren't going to go and do it after that long.
So we end up where that I didn't remember exactly how, because at one point I had a very long version. But yeah, we end up going into this, and if you are playing at home, you'll know that we haven't really been talking about in any of the podcasts anymore the Rorschach book or the Strange Adventures book. This is the third of the trifecta here. This is the
We're
one
kind of
that
talking about it. We're not doing it on the podcast.
We're not doing about the podcast, but with this is the one that we would have the most connection with anyway. Going through all of Tom King's run, all of that,
Adam Strange.
Kind of getting upset with it at points, maybe even getting upset with it before a lot of other people did. We had a little vindication, but it's hard to say vindication of hate, Eric. I don't want to get into that, but we ended up where we didn't like the deal. You hated immediately when Bruce ends up saying to Alfred way back in like 24 of the run, hey, Alfred, Selena, Catwoman stole some shit from us. Oh my God, he's checking the silverware, the paintings. No, she stole the night. It drove you
Terrible
nuts.
Line. What is that? She stole something. Oh my sir, what is she stolen? She stole the night. I'm like, fuck you, Batman.
And
go,
even
go
at that
cry
point,
on a couch somewhere. What are you talking about? She stole the night. Go be Batman.
That was the first time that Alfred did die in the run. Eric, he died inside. He realized that his master was a dick. And so you end up where before the wedding, what I want to tell everybody, if they hadn't been listening to us or whatnot, or just jumping in here, we're not the biggest Tom King fans. And it started before the wedding. It wasn't one thing. It wasn't just, oh man, you lied to us about the wedding, I'm out. It was a lot of little things that kept adding up and never getting solved. So when you get into this Bat Cat book, it really seemed like, okay, we're going to review it, we're going to read it, but it's not necessarily for us. This is for the people who wanted that extra 15 issues that they think Tom King got yanked from. This was what you were going to get then, though. It really doesn't make sense that would be, because if that was the fact, Clayman never would have been able to keep a schedule. That's just me, Eric. But with that, I'm enjoying this enough. I'm not at a point where I want to stop reading it or talk about it. And so it's kind of like I'm giving you the MO overall of how much we didn't like Tom King, just to kind of pull it out and say that we actually don't mind this yet. But
what's the thing is, you had the main Batman run coming out twice a month and of something you don't like. You love Batman, but you don't like the way that he's being portrayed for this years-long run. Here, at least, it is Tom King's future, his own little Elseworld story that does not need to connect to the rest of the Batman mythos. So when it does do its own thing, I'm fine. Even the idea, it's like, okay, the Phantasm, it's a Phantasm story. We're going to finally bring Andrea Beaumont into the main continuity, or whatever continuity, in the comic book stuff here. And the thing is like, okay, I want to see how this is going to play out. I don't really care about the idea of like, let's continue on with the wedding. I want to hear a story that's going on. And if you're going to say Phantasm, okay, let's see that. And when Tom King came out initially for issue number 1 and pretty much said, yeah, the Phantasm's here, just pretty much go watch Mask of the Phantasm. That's all the connection. Like, he didn't do any of his own legwork to try to make it make sense within the comic book continuity. So right there, I was disappointed, but I wanted to see what we're going to do with this, especially because it's such a weirdly pace story, with the idea that Tom King is going to do a past, present, and future story all dealing with Bat and Cat, and how we're going to get to hopefully it all wraps around and makes sense by the end, because it doesn't throw, like, the way it's told, it's just here we're in the present, and without telling you anything, we're in the past or we're in the future. It doesn't feel quite right. I'm getting on board with the way he's doing it now. We said it before.
It disjoints it. And you have a pacing in a comic, and when you do what he's doing, it keeps throwing me off a bit.
You better keep track of what Catwoman costume Selena's wearing so you know exactly where you're at.
And
Gray is the present, black in the past.
Yeah. And with that, when you have that trigger to do that,
wrinkles in the future.
It's going to throw you off a little because of the idea. Yeah, wrinkles, not in the costume. You end up where, like, if I'm there and I have to just for that second even say, okay, oh, we're in the past. Okay, we're here. Obviously, when Bruce is there, there are other visual cues and stuff like that. But what ends up happening is at the end, I don't think that he is able to use these 3 separate timelines in a way that benefits the story into being better, because by the end, it all just runs together to me. And I only remember the 2 big moments. I only remember the one line. It's not like I'm like, oh my God.
I kind of dig what we're doing with the past and the present stuff, because that feels like it's telling one story. And the thing that I was actually initially here for, the Phantasm story, seems to be the sore thumb that's sticking out that doesn't feel like it's connected to anything else, because it's just what we're dealing with.
And what's weird is when we first started, and like you said, one of the things that I originally got mad about Tom King, it became kind of our mantra a lot of times when we would discuss an issue, at points even having to pull it off the podcast, put it as a Patreon only because we were getting so much guff, but it was the fill in the blank storytelling, from one issue to the other, from one panel to the other, things aren't remember, whatever. I'm not having that, but like you said, when you start off with the Phantasm, I'm going into this saying, well, I never read or I never watched the Phantasm, Mask of the Phantasm. Let's go into this because most of the time, okay, it may be different. It may not be whatever, but you end up going and nothing was explained. So you're getting a introduction of a huge character in the animated universe into a comic, but never doing anything to get her there, just saying, well, whatever you saw before happened. And so I did go off and watch it. I eventually did watch it.
And you had a great time because it's a great movie.
I loved it. I did love it, except when she was talking about her mom. I'm like, she's crazy. Get away, Bruce. But you end up with the whole deal.
I did that in Smallville, and she's Jim.
I'll give it crazy. I'll end up where, that is something. You can say, well, look, Jim, Tom King actually made you go and watch it. That's cool. I don't mind that. And then we haven't done anything with her since. I'm like, I wasted an hour.
Your angel of death
I didn't
awaits.
waste it, but listen to me. It ended up where I think I'm going to get more. And basically and where I'm saying it's not that I cared because I did love it. But what I'm saying then is where you said, hey, they didn't introduce anything. Well, you haven't really done anything else since either. The Phantasm's just there. And this is a thing that Tom King does a lot, does in this issue a couple times. It's just scenes to be wow moments. They're not even say fan service because nothing happens, but it's just these wow moments. And then at the end, you do remember those, but a lot of the other things get lost in the shuffle, especially with 3 timelines. And the stuff you said to me as we began before we recorded, that maybe you should cross off Batman on that cover.
Oh, and yeah. This is not a bad cat story. This is a Catwoman story.
And I love Catwoman. And I know that a lot of people love Tom King's Catwoman because she is empowered. She is overpowered.
She's the focus.
Points even here. Yeah, and she is the focus. And she was the main focus at points in the Batman book, which Batman fans would be driven nuts. But the way that Tom King and this all worked out, I think that him getting the 15 issues taken away, gets fired at issue 85. You can say, oh, he wasn't fired, all that talk. I think that it benefited everybody. I really do, because you were allowed to take the time to get Clayman art on all that. People love it. If they don't, whatever. But you also get to have that deal where this doesn't have to be a Batman book, and it isn't yet. I mean, it's really a Catwoman book, but you don't have to get the guff for it, but it is kind of a weird deal to have this. I just wonder how many people that wanted the Bat-Cat romance are you getting enough? Because it seems like the one timeline mainly is for a little loving. Little kissing and a hug.
All we're doing is in the present time is like, let's make a little love. And
it's not enough in my mind for that. It's not enough where you want to see this great relationship and all this, whatever. And he has gotten away from the bat and cat talk, bat, cat. But really all we're getting for Bat Cat is it time for bed? Bruce, it's 1 p.m. Afternoon delight it is. And they go off. That's what you get. But what you're getting with Selena, if you're there for, oh my God, I want the love, the love story of the ages, but she is more of a gray area in this than she has been. And that's what's interesting to me and you. You even told me that. Yeah.
Well, let me do my blurb here because I talk about that at the end of the whole thing, because we have Batman Catwoman #3 written by Tom King with art by Clayman, Tomei Morey, and Clayton Cowles. There's a story here. Hell, there's 3 stories here, and yet no one wants to deal with it. While the Joker is screwing over Batman and Catwoman in the present times by putting them on the Phantasm's radar, Catwoman is keeping her daughter distant about her involvement in the Joker's murder in the future. And in the past, Selena continues to break our heart as the Joker's decided to suss out whether or not Catwoman is a hero or a villain. And more, it's looking rather villainy.
It is. Eric, you want to hear something funny to reveal how dumb I am? We do this a lot. The advent calendar credits page. Yeah. I'm looking and I'm like, 1, 2, oh my God, there is 12. Ooh, he did it. I actually didn't even realize that until now.
Why didn't you think that would be a thing?
I don't know. I thought there was more windows and I'm like, oh, well, that didn't work out. I'm like, let me count these. Oh my God. 12. That's going to deal. But actually in the roundabout deal that I thought, as long as we don't get any sort of like set delay or actual delay come up. It is kind of a neat deal to set the book at Christmas and then kind of wrap around and it'll end next year at Christmas. Really cool. So we'll continue that. I actually thought that was a pretty neat and a way to kind of, give the deal of starting in December and why they would do that and stuff like that. But yeah, you go into this and there was the big deal about the new suit, Helena Wayne. And to me, this is where, again, you talk about the phantasm. Oh my God, there's the phantasm, whatever. You just get Helena Wayne here. And the idea of her being here, I know that you even said, I wanted to see more of her growing up and stuff, but that doesn't fit the timelines in this book. No. But to me, I thought that it would. I thought that maybe if we're going to deal with Helena, if we're going to deal with things like this, why are we dealing with these timelines and not one where you have Selena pregnant, giving birth, going and raising the kid? You see I wanted to see little girl Helena learning things, maybe figuring out, oh my God, my mom's Catwoman, my dad's bad. But you just end up getting there and she's just there.
Well, make sure that you tell DC that, because I think Tom King and Clay Mann are hoping that people talk about that, so we'll get another 12-issue series about Helena Wayne growing up in Tom King's weird future.
But in this, that's like the fill-in-the-blanks deal. But he's getting bigger and bigger with these fill-in-the-blanks, like the phantasm where you're like, you got to go watch that. Now this, like, okay, there she is. And I didn't get the wow factor of her there because we've already seen her in multiple things pretty much at this age. And so it kind of, the annual was when Bruce was dying. This is only a couple weeks after that. The other one where they're buried, this is a couple weeks. So I wanted more of that. I wanted a little more of Helena. You get here where, with Tom King's deal, you have Dick Grayson as the commissioner.
Commissioner Grayson to you.
And you start going with that, with the idea of that, booster gold, booster shot. Like, he likes to deal with these things. This is the fun that you can have with the future and also not really being in the regular timeline and stuff. So that's cool. I'm saying, if
you want to tell a story, you can actually, that's not bad to have your own idea of what Gotham would look like in the future, especially if you're going off the idea of Bat and Cat getting together and having Helena Wayne, her growing up to be Huntress or Batwoman, whatever she is in this. Because do they actually come out and say who she is in this, or is we just going to go by Huntress because that's what it used to be?
I'm going with Batcat. Is what I'm going with. I don't think she
says being called Batcat.
Yeah, I think she's going to do the both, and that's where we're going to get the. I don't think they actually say a name of what her superhero persona is. But when you go forward with this,
you do have your fan moments like that. The idea of Dick Grayson giving up the vigilante life and just becoming Commissioner Grayson. This whole thing, I'm like, yeah, that's something you could totally see happening, so it works fine here. Now, the idea that we're just going to stand around and talk about we found the Joker's body in Florida and stuff like that, and like, when you and I were talking off of mic beforehand, it's just that we had the same problem in early Steve Orlando stuff, like especially during like his Justice League of America run and stuff like that, and his Midnighter run and stuff like that, where people just end up talking, but nobody around them seems to be listening because they all have their one thing that they want to say, so it doesn't really jive together because we have Dick Grayson just talking, we have Helena Wayne just talking, and it's all about the Joker and the connection, but it feels like they should be having a conversation about it, but it doesn't come off that way.
And they're all waxing poetic, and this is where, again, we joked, she stole the night. It's these lines that don't feel right like, even when you open dialogue. This whole thing,
Helena, a body in Port Orange, Florida. Joy. But aren't you the commissioner of Gotham, Dick? It was an elderly man living alone in retirement community, throat slashed ear to ear. Found him days after it happened. I'm like, no, you're just monologuing now. This is not like,
you're narrating. You're not talking. This isn't like, oh my God, Dick, they found a body in Port Orange, Florida. Do you know anything about it? Oh yeah, they found him.
He was wearing makeup. He had makeup. Some had come off under the makeup.
His skin was white. About right here. Do you think that was the Joker?
He wasn't in Florida.
Talking. Yeah, and so you end up where they end that. His skin was white. And then you have Helena. We've been looking for him for 10 years. He wasn't in Florida. Okay, you're trying to get like there was a past deal or whatever. Now you get the worst dialogue in this entire deal. And me and you laugh because you were doing it in a Christopher Walken voice. I was doing it as William Shatner. It definitely doesn't sound like Dick Grayson, where he's like, I remember the first time. How long ago? I was 12. I don't know.
He's doing Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's doing Rocket Man. I don't know. Half grown. I was the partner, the sidekick having fun.
Pre-flight.
Time of my life. Bang, pow, blam. Just think of that. I'm sitting there, I'm talking to you. I'm like, yep, I used to have this other job, Eric. Great. Fun times. But then blam, pow, blam. It doesn't even make you be like, what are you on? What's going on here? Because you don't sound like...
I remember the first time long ago. I was 12. I don't know, half grown.
And I don't know, period, half grown, period. Who talks like this? I was the partner, the sidekick, having fun. Time of my life. Bang,
and
pow,
these
bam.
are things that I do want to see, but I want it to come together back, because even then when you turn the page and you go to the present time where the Joker is in witness protection, whatever you want to call it, because he is afraid.
Protection.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Batman protection, because he's afraid of Phantasm coming to kill him. He's just dancing around for a page, just singing, Christmas carols, and then we just move on.
You have to get the Tom King add some song or passage or something else, and everything he does.
We have 3 different stories going on here.
That's a wasted panel.
Why are we padding out freaking the page
or a wasted
count here?
Page. That's a wasted page right there. And people are saying, "Oh man, he does the Joker so well," and yeah, he does in this. There's some really good Joker deal. None of him dancing around singing Christmas carols. He's just there. Hey, let's get this page. You got the page count. And then you end up where you do have Batman and Catwoman watching that. You go back to the whole deal in that toy store that we like, the set piece in the past. Cool set piece. But even then, it's bam, pow, bang. You end up just a fight to grab Joker and say, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? I wish I knew. And it's just not enough. You're padding a lot of this because then you go to the future.
We have all this stuff going on. Again, it's just so jarring going back and forth without any kind of knowledge that's happening, time frames put out there for you, just reading along. But even the idea, it's we just had the Joker kill, was it Jacob the Lion, whoever's working for the Bertinelli crime family, and Selena was there trying to get the thing. But he killed him, and now that Selena's like, look, you need to get rid of all this stuff. I can't be connected. Take this medallion back that you gave me. I can't be connected to the murder you did because Batman's starting to trust me. I want to be with them. And now she's beating the crap out of the Joker because now he's just gone off panel in between scenes here and killed a bunch of people and sewed reindeer horns, still antlers to them. And now he's going to find your reindeers. I don't know why. That
didn't feel like the Joker to me as much. I'm like, what is he diving in the Professor Pig's deal? I mean, it is crazy and whatnot, but it's just there again, like you said, everything between panels, between pages and things. But go on. That kind of bothered me when she ended up that being a sticking point. It doesn't bother me
as much as when we go to the future and we have Selena sitting there across from Helena in the future time, sitting at that big table. I like to imagine it's the same one from Batman '89, from when Vicky Vale and Michael Keaton are having, soup.
And also you've had it 100 times in Tom King's deal. At the one point, you even had, I believe, Bane and Batman on there and City of Bane and stuff like that.
But even as they're sitting there, it's like, I've gone over it with all the lawyers, talked to the lawyers all day. Your father just left it all to me. As simple as that. And then, there's Helena. I saw Dick. And then Selena. Yeah. And when I go, Helena, it will, of course, be yours. They found something in Florida, a body. They think it's the Joker. Dick thinks it is.
Yeah. Now, seriously.
The thing is, this back and forth where everybody's just saying their own things. I don't care for that, but I'm actually more mad that Bruce left everything to Selena, and the idea that when she goes, she's giving everything to Helena. I'm like, we had an entire Bat family. Bruce adopted Dick Grayson. Bruce adopted Tim Drake. We have a lot of people in this. Damian Wayne is not mentioned once. This whole thing, I'm like, this has become Anna Nicole Smith, where the whole family of her elderly husband, and he leaves everything to her, and the rest of the family's pissed off because this new wife came in and took everything.
They're suing. They are suing. Yeah, she says, I'm going to leave everything to you then. For her then just the idea, like you said, your father just left it all to me. As simple as that. I saw Dick today. But then with that.
Was it unsolicited?
If you did, you don't want that. If you didn't see Dick today, and Dick wasn't in this book, then the idea of this would be intriguing to me of, oh my God, what happened to the rest of the Bat family? Are they all dead? Is this a future where they all took the mantle and ended up getting killed? But we already saw Dick.
We saw Dick. We saw Bruce on his deathbed with the Bat family all around him. So we know they're still around. Hell, it looks like Gotham Girls, shacking up or married with Duke. So we know what this future looks like.
That's the deal. They're going to have to get married, and she was supposed to kill him. So I don't know. But so you end up where, Bruce just, and I don't think this is something that maybe Tom King even thought through.
Mother, did you hear me? Then go back to Selena. I was abandoned in a dumpster near the corner of Cane and Finger. My parents wanted me to die. In the cold, easy for them. I didn't die. Instead, I made the compromises you must make when you have nothing. I lived my life in those compromises.
I They're running tests now.
It's
it
time
just
to
keeps
put
going.
You in a home, Ma.
Just think of that. She says, I live my life in those compromises. They're running tests now. I should know shortly. I will let you know as soon as I know. I became a cat, and then I met a bat. What's going on? Is anybody talking to each other?
Extra time at home, and it is, Ma. I got you.
Really, you do that. Helena better be right with her. Or at least she doesn't have a good attention span. She's just saying what she wants. She just wants
Mother,
some money.
Is everything all right? And now I'm the richest woman in the world.
It doesn't make sense. Nobody's listening to each
this
other.
Is all going on, we should jump back to the present where Phantasm is killing fools associated with the Joker.
Killing fools and all that. Joker looks like he thinks this is a vacation there.
One of my favorite
Batman.
parts about this whole thing, though, where we have the Magneto cell with just the clear plastic that he's being kept in just a middle of a dark warehouse somewhere. Batman is furious because he found the body of this guy Fleischer who used to work for the Joker. And before the Joker came and surrendered to Batman looking for this protection that he's now in, he tattooed on the inside of Fleischer's mouth that Joker is with Bat and Cat so that the Phantasm would find us and put our heroes on her radar to make them a target. I'm like, all right, you know what? That is a great plan by the Joker because it's just causing utter chaos all the way around. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I did like that too. It is crazy, and it is the idea of all this chaos going on and all this stuff going on where Joker thinks he's just free and clear. Batman says, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you. She can have you. I'm sick of this.
Yeah, right.
I like it too. It's like he's just there. I'm done. I'm going to do this. All this stuff going on. And Joker just thinks, nah, you're not going to do it. And that's true. Because
I go out there, I die. That means you kill me. And you won't let that happen, Mr. Batman.
And there's some cool deals here. But then it's kind of the same MO thing that he's doing with Selina as well in a little bit. You know, the idea that he's thinking ahead of how they're supposed to act, how they will act, what's going on. And it's pretty cool. But just, I'm telling you right now, the stuff with Batman doesn't really play off as anything for me, especially the stuff with him and Selina, because it is, afternoon delight whenever time it is, because that's all they do. And I think that the 3 timelines, okay, you got an idea with that. But you do not have to show them equally. You don't have to keep going back. If I don't see the loving time Bruce and Selina in one of the issues, I'm not really missing much. So kind of, have those now and again. You don't have to have these all around because they throw me out.
Looking at this whole thing now, when we go from the Joker laughing about the idea that Batman won't let him die and stuff like that, and we just jump to this time frame where we're in bed with Selina and Batman, he's talking about these little lacerations that he could see on her ankle or something like that. Like, tiny little cat fight, another night in Gotham, I'm fine. And then they talk about the idea, I can help you. If we do this, Selina, I can't let anybody hurt you. I took this as a present day kind of situation, but this actually might be in the past, but I don't know. This could be any when besides for the future.
Yeah, it could be like the idea of when we get married, or maybe they're going to, I don't know. But
or even not even married, but when they first get together, like after Hush or something like that, where the idea is, look, if we're going to do this, they have to do this right and stuff like that. Or, he's finally letting Selina in and she's letting him in because of all this. But it could be present day as well, because even the idea when he says, if we're going to do this, we have to do it right. I'm like, this could be, the idea of them getting back together after the wedding didn't happen and stuff like that. So I actually don't even know at this point. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah. And then you end up, I'll make you feel a little better. I'm like, ooh, sexy. But then you have, Dick Grayson and Helena on the case. She ends up calling back to Selina. They match some DNA, old crime scene. It's him.
Joker's dead.
Joker's dead. She's like, the world weeps.
At least she's talking to her daughter about what her daughter's actually talking about.
Respond a couple times here, because I guess that Helena really isn't that interesting to her unless, you get real specific. Because
she's too much like her father.
Yeah, well, she's like, we're going to get down there. We're going to go. We're going to get, I know that it's not in Gotham. It's down in Florida. That seems to be a little misplay of the deal. And hey, they asked to help, or he asked me to help, but we got jurisdiction because we dealt with them. It doesn't really, but it's a means to an end. You could just have it happen. I don't mind that much. It's just the idea that you have to mention it as if it's the joke that you have to explain. It is kind of fudging some stats here of what would be involved, but you do want to be able to have Helena and Dick Grayson be involved. So like, it's Joker, it's a murder, hey, and then she's just like, Helena, sometimes you sound just like your father, and it's don't
such a
like
weird
it.
Concept though, because Helena is like, thinking obviously there's a mystery afoot, because the idea that the Joker would die weeks within the time where Batman died, her father Bruce Wayne, and there's got to be something more to it. And Selina's just sitting there listening to her daughter on the phone, like, I suppose they were always tied, those two. They existed with each other, maybe for each other. And so they live together, they leave together. But it's funny because from what we're getting so far in this series, we're only at issue 3 of 12-issue maxi. It seems the more that we're dealing with is less of a Batman-Joker connection and more of a Catwoman-Joker connection.
I think that's what
really
she's trying to do.
Initially, because within Tom King's run initially in the Batman deal, Catwoman was saying how she was never a part of these psychopaths and murders.
Especially with jokes and riddles. She ended up saying, I'm not going to pick sides because I'm just a burglar. I don't have anything to do with
But the more we see with this, it seems like she is tied in closely Batman 66 style.
Yeah. And so you end up where, you go then to the present deal and you get the Phantasm then attacks Selina while she's in bed. You get a lot of...
Your angel of death awaits Selina.
I know what that means, Eric. And then you also...
You watched the movie.
You see some TNA and stuff, and people do have problems, but you end up having a big fight, and Selina in her undergarments with no weapons is able to pretty much at least have a draw. They're both knocked out there and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, this is somebody with a big cleaver hand and things, and it's just like...
She's got a big bladed knife, but you have Catwoman. What does Catwoman normally have with her? It's like, it's not like you always see her use her whip or even her claws. She is in a skin-tight catsuit, which essentially, she just doesn't even need a catsuit now because she's in skin-tight.
The problem is the Selina I like and the Catwoman I like doesn't really get in the fist of, mano-a-mano, bare-knuckle brawling. She does better than that,
if she wanted
she ends up just ripping through, the Phantasm.
Well, they tussle back and forth, and she pushes her through a window. That puts them on even ground.
And so you end up laying where they're laying next to each other, very much
like the outside ground.
Yeah, very much like the Batman 49, where you had the Joker and Selina laying in the church. But then you go then to see more of the flashback, and
that's the thing is before you get to that even flashback, because I like the scene between Phantasm coming for Selina because the Joker has put them on this path. But the background where Selina is laying there and you have this narration over an intercom, a voicemail, I don't know, of Bruce Wayne. Cat, I just got an odd message from Mansion Security. A backup system hiccup. I don't think it's anything. Something Alfred would have dealt with. She is in a fight for her life right now, and he's just going to matches Malone is meeting with the supplier in a few minutes. I'm like, you're just playing freaking, dress-up games.
And people seem to know Selina is Catwoman, right? Like, they know that. Yeah. And they also seem to know that she's dating or at least hanging with Bruce because the Joker keeps bringing it up. You would have.
Well, I think some people in the Select Underground
I think that everybody knows that they, even when we have other things that aren't necessarily connected to this, the idea, what are you done with that? This is pretty much out in the open to me with the Underground. That's who would be coming for Selina. That's who would have a hiccup in the thing. The minute that gets tripped, you better get your ass back there because somebody's come to at least, maybe steals, but attacks Selina. And he's like, is he over?
World's greatest detective.
Yeah. And so he's like, and even that's the thing. It's not, oh my God, something must have accidentally tripped. It's a glitch, which that would be more appropriate to somebody trying to get him to kill. And so he's not able to realize that. Then he's talking, in my mind, on a voicemail, but he's yelling like my mom does when she calls and the voicemail hits. She thinks that it's an answering machine that I can hear. No, couldn't you hear me? I don't know this tech nowadays. What? Press 5. You hear beep boop beep boop. Oh my God, I don't know what this is. But
I would have liked Ace to come in here and kind of protect Cat. Cool. The idea that the dog of the house is protecting the cat of the house from the Phantasm out of nowhere. There's something that Andrea didn't encounter or something like that. Or even Titus as well, and maybe even Alfred the cat that Damien named, or something on, because there are animals in the mansion that should at least be protective to a degree. Because I call him a bat hound.
Comes out. Oh my God!
Good job, Bat Cow.
Luckily, you sounded the horn.
And who's been taking care of you?
You end up where. This is kind of a cool deal because you do have them both passed out there down on the grounds and whatnot. And again, a lot of things in this are going to end up pointing Selina to be connected with the Joker. If Batman comes and says, okay, the Phantasm's been going after people who are associated with the Joker, why would he do like that? That's pretty cool. If that would be, I think that they skedaddle.
Yeah, but the whole thing is it really, I'm telling you, that could be the way that she has found a connection between Catwoman and Joker, but right away it's on Front Street because of what the Joker left in Fleischer's mouth, the tattoo. Joker is hiding with Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah, but still, the idea of Selina going behind Batman's back and still dealing with the Joker and things like that. I think that that's another, pointing the deal. So I'm not saying pointing the Phantasm anywhere. I'm saying pointing Bruce to,
well, that would be the cool
deal.
twist, because you'd expect the reason that the Phantasm is attacking because of the tattoo in Fleischer's mouth that the Joker left for her to find.
Or
in fact, she actually found a connection deeper than that leads back to this our past story.
Because then we go to the flashback, and again, it's a really cool scene. It's a really cool scene with it makes no lick of sense, but nothing with the Joker does. So it works out. I wish he would have stepped out of this, though. It's a set piece.
The setting doesn't matter here. It's just all about what they're talking about.
Well, and that's kind of the
here.
deal where you go through that. And I'll even say the opposite happened with the Phantasm fight. Like you pointed out, you have the setting, which is cool. You have the Phantasm coming into the mansion fighting Selina. And then you have this dialogue that means nothing with Bruce. Do you hear me, Selina? Like nothing ever is everything hitting. It's always something is cool, but it doesn't really make sense. But the dialogues, like everything is weird when you get books like this where Tom King seems to be writing it more as like something that would start in prose and then be put into a comic, things like that just don't play out as well on the page in my mind, that nothing jives together.
Well, that's the problem with the series so far. Like I said, we're only at issue 3. This is like, we're a quarter of the way done. We got a lot of series left, but it's just that every time I go into this, I'm like, holy shit, there is a story here. I just wish that we would finally get to it at some point, because it seems like we're going out of our way every issue to not tell that story and go down a different direction that is not as interesting in my mind. And hopefully it all does culminate together at the end to make one good gooey ass ball that I want to put in my mouth and read again. Then
the
balls
right?
in your mouth,
the balls in your mouth. I end up where the idea where Tom King, he gets kicked off the Batman book.
I don't think my analogy works.
I know. But it may. You end up where we were in we were on the front lines there, where we're hearing all these things from behind the scenes, DC people telling us, oh my God, he got kicked off. They're not going to do anything. Oh my God, the fans are erupting. They're going to do a one-shot deal to end all of it. And then it was going to be a 2, then a 6, now a 12, because Tom King is known. He's the 12-part guy. And I think that the problem might have been is getting the idea. Now, people will say to me, but Jimmy had 15 issues planned. Please believe me, this guy doesn't plan anything that far ahead. The idea that he said, I have 100, that was just said to just do that. And I've been told by many, many other writers and editors at DC, and this isn't a shade. He doesn't like to think ahead because he likes the story to kind of develop and surprise even him. That's his MO. That's why a lot of times they don't end great. But the idea that this is 12 issues, right? Yeah, puddlers, or Barda's eyes changing color, the fritzing. So you end up where he's getting a 12-issue miniseries to end this. And maybe it's too many issues. Maybe it needs, and what I'm trying to actually say is maybe they should have asked him the story, write it out, and then let's see how many issues you have. Not just it's 12 issues, because it's already padded at points, and it's kind of getting to me. But fans love them, so they will end up, going with it all, and that's their MO. But the thing is, it just feels padded, and by the end, I just end up like, okay, well, I really like the one story, but I don't know why we have to have the kissing and the huggins. And then that part felt weird. And then this part was just narration because you only gave one page to it, but then Joker's dancing around singing. And so by the end, I'm just, it is like an enigma to me of what is going on and how long we're going to have to wait for the big moments and things, because
it's at the end of this issue, which I realized, so like, even though we had 2 issues before that have strictly, for the most part, dealt with Catwoman, that I realized this is a Catwoman story that is almost, talking about what we had the problem with going into this. The idea that Catwoman told us she is not like these other villains. She does not associate with them. She is a thief, not a murdering psychopath. And when you go to this whole thing where she is just back in the past, she is picking a safe, unlocking a safe, doing whatever thing, cracking a safe, I think the term is. But the Joker has stuck himself inside, waiting for her to do this. And I'm telling you, it's a weird visual. It bothered me. I thought about it all night. And the more I thought about it, I realized I kind of like it because of how creepy it is. But the idea that the Joker is here to talk to Selina, he is now playing her to the idea like, oh, look, you don't want to be associated with me because you're afraid of what it will do with you and Batman and stuff like that. You don't want to be put in the same, realm that Batman thinks of me as. So the idea that he's here to tell her, I'm going to kill a bunch of people at this point tomorrow outside. You can now run along and tell Batman, and then he'll know that you've been talking to me. You can go and solve it yourself, but he is the world's greatest detective. If you go out there and stop it, he'll look further into it and find out why you're doing it. Or you could just let it go, and I could just kill these people, and nobody will be there to stop me. And we're going to prove, are you more Catwoman or you are Batman? The idea that we're going to play with the idea, is Selena the anti-hero? Is she more of a hero or a villain? Is she willing to let all these people die to maintain her lie to Batman, to keep this thing going? I'm like, this is an interesting part of the story. I want to see more of this. But like, we're going to deal with this whole idea where this is the past. We still have the Andrea Beaumont story in the future with Phantasm, and we still have, idea in the future with,
our future.
Helena tracking down who killed the Joker,
farthest
which
future.
may be more which may be more tied into what we're dealing with the past than actually Andrea Beaumont Phantasm stuff. So like I said at the beginning, the Phantasm stuff, while I came in wanting to see that, it is sticking out like a sore thumb, like it doesn't belong. But hopefully, as we progress, it'll all come together in that gooey little fucking ball I was talking about.
It's so weird, the gooey balls. The idea where I ended up saying that first, well, he put the Phantasm in, but why? Because this really seemed to be the finishing love letter to all the fans of Beckett, all these things where, and then you added that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's trying to get other people involved, we'll get in, but then you kind of leave that behind. This is where I'm saying you get changing focus around. Now, I want to see, because, he does write a little fill in the blank type of story. I'm filling in the blank to the 7 other nights that Joker was hanging out in other safes that Selena never showed up. And he's like, all right, I'm going to wait 3 more hours. If she doesn't come here, I'm out. Because she knew she knew exactly where she was going. She's there. We don't have any idea where that is or what's going on. You end up having some pearls that, symbolic or whatnot, but still,
I like
he's
to
just
think
hanging.
that he made sure that he was the ones who, whispered down the lane kind of thing.
Maybe,
to tip
but we
her
don't
off
know
about
that.
Something
it's
to
just
let it happen
there as a wow moment.
A mastermind.
And the thing is, where I kind of laugh about it, because if I do end up saying, like, well, I don't understand. How would you know that? A lot of people who are fans of Tom King will say he's Joker. That's the Joker. But that's the problem, is most of Tom King's run was based on a lot of the people going the opposite with Batman, that they had been sick of hearing, well, it's Batman, it's the Bat God, and now we get this, and now all of a sudden you get so fantastical. But it works for me. I'm just saying that I want to see the other times.
So we didn't get that in
work
Tom
out.
King's run. We got, well, it's Catwoman.
Well, that's not what they say. We got a humanized Batman is all we kept hearing about, and me and you were waiting. People still think that. I still say, oh, that was the more human Batman. What? Did human mean not talking to his kids? Well, yeah, for me it does. But also just being miserable. I mean, basically, if you sit there and say—
You saw a mirror and you didn't
the
like
funny
it in your
thing I
Batman
got,
books.
just as a little side deal for Tom King's Batman, for people who are fans or not, the idea where you end up having just anybody— I could go and ask my kids who haven't read a comic, or I could go and you say, what is the characteristic of Batman? Most of them will say, he's kind of miserable. That not Bat God. And Tom King fans are like, oh man, we went against that Bat God, which is the big thing about him. No. He's miserable. And that's all we got. We didn't get anything different. And then he didn't deal with his kids. He ended up letting people die while he's dressing up as Magnum PI, doing nonsense, Eric. But this is not bad. And then you end with, Selena talking with the clues, because Helena comes back. They're back at their no talking to each other table, but they're actually listening at this point. And like, I was in Florida yesterday at his apartment. Oh, how was it? Any clues? No, mother, it was clean. And then you end. And I'm like, all right, well, does that mean we're done with that investigation? We're just going to leave the Joker behind there, because the idea of it.
She's lying, Jim.
I'm telling you, just the idea of like the connection between father and the Joker. Now, with that, you had a theory that Andrea's kid was actually Bruce, but we're not even dealing with anything.
Well, that's the thing, is that's how it started our story off, the idea of Andrea Beaumont coming back into town after the Mask of the Phantasm movie, because she has been away for 14 years, afraid of what the Joker would do if he ever found her. But her son ran away from where they're living abroad, came back to Gotham to try to find his father, whoever that may be, and he trusted the wrong people and ended up getting murdered by the Joker. That's how Batman found him, because Andrea came to him, Bruce, I need you to find my son. And Bruce did find her dead son. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, she left right after the Mask of the Phantasm. Apparently, was pregnant right after that. I'm like, is Bruce Wayne.
And you're supposed to be led that it's Joker, but now you get the idea that it's Bruce.
Well, I would never think that Joker is the father just because how they left things in the Mask of the Phantasm.
I'm saying that.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm telling you, though, you didn't really know. We may end up going back to seeing more. Who knows? Because he didn't set anything up at that time. My problem is we don't know anything about Andrea. She has now become just the Phantasm, just this ghost deal that comes and says her line and goes. We're not dealing anything with her.
And now that the Joker has killed her son, she's become the Phantasm again and killing anybody involved with the Joker.
You could end up with the story where she's still going around Andrea. She's talking to Bruce, doing this, trying to do that. Now she is just she has left, Andrea behind. And I'm afraid that all it's going to be is her just walking around saying the line, and we're not going to get any deeper, and we'll never find out anything about that son because that's just kind of been pushed aside. We may get back to more. We may actually get an issue down the line that is a flashback of everything she did before she left and what she did while she was gone. But who knows? But as of now, I can only think that that's kind of left behind because of what we're dealing with now. And the focus is just on Catwoman, barely on Bruce or anything like that. And I don't know.
I'm just hoping that it ties around somewhere, like I said at the beginning, for the reason that the Catwoman would want to kill the Joker in the future after Bruce doesn't have his judgmental eyes on her. The idea that maybe because of her involvement with the Joker in the past, that somehow she leaks information because she is close with Batman and Bruce Wayne. The idea where Bruce starts talking about Andrea, leaks the information about where she is, and Joker starts, setting out stuff to little bait to get the kid back here because it is Batman's kid, something along those lines. And then, he ends up killing Batman's kid. Supposedly, this is all in my headcanon, what I'm working with right now. And ultimately, it's because of what Catwoman does that leads to this. So why she can't forgive herself and has to murder the Joker.
And one of the funny things is the idea that, and it doesn't make sense because of what we already complained about with Selena, you're the one who's going to get the money, Helena, all to you. And then at the end, oh my God, there was somebody else that would have been, but you already have a whole Bat family that got avoided as well. So,
and even at the end of this whole thing, when we have the idea that Huntress here was in Florida going over the crime scene and is back talking to her mother about what she found, is Huntress protecting her mother here by saying it was clean by taking the evidence, or is she playing her mother trying to say it was clean to see what she'll do? Is she going detective?
Dick would have seen it, and he's not going to protect her. She put him out of the will, Eric. We heard that here. He's not going to be rich. He wanted to be the richest man in the world, but he's not. But yeah, overall, I'm at a 7.5. I think the art's good. I wish that we weren't getting too clunky with these timelines. It does throw me off still. It's one of the things that we're just going to have to deal with throughout all this, it seems. And I need something to go. Now, again, if you end up with that one timeline, that's going to be important later, then like I said, you don't need to keep showing us the loving times, hey, and it's not even oh man, they see that I see they're in love. That's the Batcat. No, they just go and have sex. That's what a lot of that is. So
that's what love is, isn't it?
Yeah, for you. Leave that aside a little and get to the main things, but you're already you're already extending page count with some things, but I still like it enough. And I still think there's a story. And I do like seeing it as a Catwoman story, almost as if Tom King always wanted to. It seemed like he did, but he was in a Batman book. So I can't really do. But now, hey, what the hell? Even though Batman's on the cover, which, but I can tell my Selena story that I want it and show how cool she is. And I actually like that. So I'm going to go 7.5. What would you give it?
I'm going to go 7. I was at a 6.5 initially because while I do like the art in this a lot, and I have the I think about the story and what it could be going on. So it gets me thinking. I do think about it. So that it leaves a lasting impression on me, which raises it up a bar. It's like we talked about at the beginning of this review here, where every time you want to deal with something, it always falls apart because you don't get exactly what you want. Where all right, we got a great future scene. Here's Huntress. Here's Commissioner Dick Grayson. And their dialogue is wooden and nobody's listening to what they're saying. It's just weird dialogue. And here's a fill-in page of the Joker singing for no apparent reason. I want more out of this. And every time I think, okay, here we're going to do some stuff, we get normal Tom King bullshit just thrown in to pad out the pages. And I'm like, I don't want this.
I'm going to tell you one thing, though. With some of the things, Heroes in Crisis, which a lot of people didn't like, Eric, but you were getting clues at the beginning. The Puddlers, you said it before. The Puddlers did it. And then we're what the hell's a Puddler? We're looking up. And that ended up just being explained at the end. Oh, I did that to throw you off. And it drove us nuts. We had a lot of things in Mr. Miracle, or people beloved series. We didn't like it as much because there were a lot of clues that were thrown out there that meant nothing. What I like about this this. This is more about Catwoman in general. This isn't about specific clues or solving really a case, because we know she killed the Joker. So he's not playing that game. He's not giving us these clues.
Why?
But that's the thing. I don't mind the idea of motivation and, are you good or bad? That isn't exactly a mystery like he usually tries and fails. I think that the idea of motivation, what she is, what's going on the back, I think that it's playing out better. You don't have to chase the clues. We're just trying to figure out. And even us saying, I think that it's going to be this. This isn't based on, that's just, we're reading and we think. But if it doesn't end up like that, you're not going to say, oh man, he duped me, that jerk. No, that was you just kind of trying to put things together.
Skunked again.
You know what I mean? But it's not like Barda's eyes change color. That must mean this, that, and the other thing, because that's a specific clue. He's actually letting us in on what is the big, procedural mystery, where the real mystery is, did Batman figure out things? What's going on? How big and involved Catwoman was in there? And we're seeing it more and more. So I think that he's playing it off
Bruce
good.
Wayne isn't the father of Andrea Beaumont's son, I do by the end want to know who that is, though. I want to know who the father is and why he came back and stuff like that, because that is the thing that sets up our mystery, our entire story. And it's just thrown out there like, okay, the death of a child. Let's go, everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's how you start.
I want more out of it.
That's how you start. Tom King looks. I told you, it's always that. But yeah, I'm a little more positive. And the people seem to not be going gaga. I'm talking reviewers who usually go Lady Gaga times 10. And they're kind of like, a little laid back with this and kind of giving it. This one got an 8.1. I'm looking now, aggregate score, which is good. But I think that people, with all the things that happen with Tom King and all these other books, they're actually, looking at it a little more
reserved.
A little more, you can't keep giving things 10s when the story takes 12 issues. And that's the problem with him.
Watch me.
But yeah, really hold my beer. But yeah, I like it enough. So we'll continue, I'm sure. And you liked it enough, I think, as well. So that'll be that. But what we're going to be talking about this weekend for the main podcast, a lot of Future State stuff, Eric. Future State Shazam #2. You like that, right? Future State Nightwing #2. Future State Catwoman #2. If you want a little more of the cats. And then if you want some of the bats, Eric, Future State The Next Batman #4. As we start ending a lot of these things. J/Tim. I really, as a spoiler alert, I really wanted Luke to call him Jace, but we'll maybe get that down the line.
I want this thing now because of my own little headcanon from Future State Justice League, where you have the Bat Cat book now, but let's go to Future State with the Bat Green Lantern book, where it's Jason, Joe Mullen are a couple.
Yeah, you just want that. You're going to keep forcing that one in. It'd be a nice couple there. I'd go with it, Eric. I'd like it. But yeah, if you want to listen to that, that's on our regular feed. Also, this past week on our Patreon feed, you go to patreon.com/weirdscience, and you can end up listening to our Spotlight show. 2 books that were picked by the badasses, the Get Fresh crew, Beep Boop. They picked Future State Immortal Wonder Woman #2 and Future State Superman Worlds of War #2. I will tell you, we may not have liked those as much as some others, Eric.
Hopefully Future State House of L next week comes together and makes it all worthwhile.
We shall see. But that's that. Go over to the Patreon, go over to the regular feed. But thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed us talking about this. Eric, what do we say at the end?
I don't know, going ape?
Hey, you said something last week, and that was different from the others. So we're going to go with going ape.